Okay, hi. I'm going to tell y'all how I made my last photo. It's a self-portrait, if you can't tell. Basically, I set up a backdrop stand and I put a black backdrop on it, and I was trying to do it all myself. Did not work out. I realized I need a team. It was very, very difficult. I was fighting the wind. The backdrop stand is actually somebody else's that they gave to me. It was blowing around in the wind. It kept falling over. I put like stones and rocks or wood on. I put just stuff on the backdrop and stuff on the stands themselves to try to keep them weighted down and from falling over, and that did not work. My mom came and helped me because it was bad. But even with her help, it still just blew over constantly. I did not get photos or videos of it, and I wish I did. Ignore the hair. It's quarantine. Nobody cares. I made fake blood, but I didn't have corn syrup or Karo syrup. So I found some old caramel syrup we had, and I just used that. And to get it a little bit thick, I did add some flour into it. It seemed to sort of help, and just a tiny bit of water. Some red food coloring drops, and I don't even know how many. I just kind of dropped maybe 10 in there. I didn't have any yellow, green, or blue, so I kind of tried to come up with a different color, make it a little more realistic. Yeah, so I added some chocolate syrup too, but it gave me that with the red, and it gave me the perfect color that I wanted. My idea was kind of just to put it on and like have it dripping down from my eye, but I didn't want to make a mess. I didn't want to like dye my clothes or get anything dirty or dye the backdrop because I need that. I used just a black backdrop. I don't know if I said that or not. I was kind of going like, how am I gonna do this? And then my mom was like, oh, get a Q-tip. And I was like, that's a good idea. Remote for my camera, so I used that. I bought mine from Cali Guys in Mobile, Alabama, like 4 years ago. My mom eventually came outside, and then she saw I was struggling, and she helped me. She did the Q-tip and made it look super realistic and nice, and like it was dripping. And I was like, yes. I took my photos, and eventually I decided, okay, I was like, these have to work, you know. It was around 5 or 6 whenever I was doing this, so it wasn't necessarily complete golden hour yet, but I mean, honestly, golden hour didn't really matter for this shoot. Typically, most of the time, golden hour matters for me, just not this time. When I first set up the backdrop though, there was amazing lighting where it was one side was a little bit brighter than the other side, which is actually what I wanted. I wanted some dramatic studio lighting with the split lighting, but I don't have a studio, I don't have lighting equipment, so I was just like, gotta go with natural lighting, and I was like, okay, in post, I'll try to make it like that. Not really good at Photoshop. I'm not great at this stuff. I'm better at Lightroom. I'm better with my colors and things like that, but just not really Photoshop, having been able to master or even get close. And I really wanted that split lighting. The lighting is changing, so by the time I got to actually shooting and getting to the shots that I wanted, resetting my camera settings like a million times over for every change, I didn't have that split lighting anymore, and it was really sad. I then took my photos into Lightroom, and there was one photo that was good. I was like, wow. Usually when you take that many photos, you get 10 to 20 that are good, but that's depressing. Uploaded it into Lightroom, edited in Lightroom. I threw a Peter McKinnon preset over it from the 2017 pack, the Ansel one where it's black and white, and I did my own editing to that preset, made it the way I kind of wanted it. I knew I wanted a little grainy, I knew I wanted sharp details, I knew I wanted the acne in my face or blemishes to show, and I wanted more there kind of thing. That's why it's not like pleasing. I don't like beautiful or anything, but it's not meant to look beautiful. It's supposed to be dark and depressing and just like, really just like, yeah. Kind of like in Peter McKinnon's way of like a punch in the face of like, yo, it's here, it's there. I always want to call it linear or gradient. I put maybe 7 on there. So I did one to try to create some split lighting type of thing. I changed my exposure, contrast, played with all those settings. Okay, this is kind of coming together like I had it in my head. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna go with it. Well, I noticed that, okay, so the backdrop I had was, it's a textured backdrop. So, backdrop. Anyway, it was kind of like matte and smooth on this side, but then you saw the textured and lighting on the other side. So it was like, that's weird. So I took that tool over a couple of times, got several areas, a few on this side, but mostly on this other side, like on the right side. I fixed it up. So I took that linear gradient tool that played with it a lot. I spent at least an hour in Lightroom just doing that, and then I brought it into Photoshop because I turned the image black and white. I was going to use Magic Wand selection tool, try to mask it, invert the mask, and turn it red and just be blood spot. And there's this whole thing that my mentor actually taught me a couple years ago, and I wrote it down onto notes, and it was not working. That was supposed to be on just the blood, but it ended up on the whole image. And I was like, you know, this is kind of cool, but not what I wanted. So I kept trying. I messaged a couple of people and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, help. At some point, I don't know when. Also, this was like 2 a.m. So. At some point, I got the blood to be red and I painted it. I'm proud of it, but I'm not like, this is wonderful. Like, it wasn't exactly what was in my head. So that kind of sucks. But it's still pretty good. I'm proud of it. I like it. It came out pretty well, considering most things that are in my head don't actually turn out the way I want them to. But this one was much closer, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud that I finally made an image that was like super sharp clarity, very just like, yeah. And then we've got the blood and the red in there, and it's like, yeah. I feel like it's very professional in a way, you know? To me, it kind of looks like a really good professional photographer took this photo and made it. Not the Photoshop part, but just the image itself. And I'm not calling myself like a professional photographer. I am a photographer, but not professional. Not really. I mean, I get paid to do photos, but just not, I'm not at that level yet. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not meaning to like boast myself as in like, yeah, I'm amazing, because I'm not. But I am proud and I'm happy that I got it pretty close to what was in my head, and I was like, yeah, it's art, man, and that's awesome. And Peter McKinnon did not see it, but I hope that everyone who has seen it likes it, and I hope it makes you feel something. Most of my photos, anything especially like that that's kind of dark, or maybe even a personal one, I want you to feel something. So hope you felt something. And I just had to roll with it because I was like, I gotta post this in the morning. The other thing happened though. I was putting everything up and together after I did the actual shoot and stuff. My fake blood into like just a plastic cup that I could throw away. I had it sitting outside as I was putting everything else from outside, inside, packing it up, putting it all together in storage and stuff again. There was a bee that got in the fake blood, and I didn't know it until I was coming inside and I was pulling a towel that I used out of it, and I was gonna throw that away, and there was a bee on a paper towel. Don't want to get stung, don't want it to get mad, so I'm just gonna like go outside. I picked up the paper towel it was on, I put it outside on the grass, hoping that it would like fly off or something. It did not fly off. The bee's wings were covered in the chocolate syrup and dye and stuff, so it looked like a bloody bee, which I think is kind of funny because British and English, they're all like, a bloody whatever, and I'm like, well, this is a bloody bee. No, literally, it's a bloody bee. This bee cannot fly, cannot open its wings, and it was barely moving. So I got it to climb on a stick, and then I put the stick next to a plant and got it to climb onto a plant, but I think it died. I really think the bee died within 2 hours. It didn't look like its wings were moving at all. So I think the syrup got stuck on it, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So I think I technically killed a bee with fake blood. Don't use fake blood, kids, outside, because then you'll kill bees. That's how I created it. That's how I made it. Hope you enjoyed this story. Sorry I did not take videos or many photos at all. That's it. Bye.